This is Ryszard Tokarczuk, a co-designer for At the Court of the Great King. This video is meant to demonstrate the example of play in a game with 3 players. Again, I will play all those sides single-handedly in a way with open hand, but this is not meant to be exhausting uh, explanation of all the rules. There will be some commentary. There will be not the best decisions made at all times. This video is meant to give you understanding of the flow of the game and possibly some things that can happen in the game with 3 players, as the uh, experience is slightly different from the games with 2 players only. Now, of course, we start with setup, and the setup is mildly different with the game for 3 players. Just like before, we'll have to deal out initial hands, but because the number of the players is increased, we are using 4 randomly selected cards from the additional deck. So I have moved 4 cards out of 10 extra ones. Give it a shuffle, and we'll deal out 2 cards to each player. If you have seen the video for the 2 players, you may remember that players begin this step in the setup with 3 cards in a hand. Once again, with increased number of players, this is one of those differences. Now, I have crisis cards ready. In 2-player game, 7 cards. In this mode, we use 8. So 1 card goes away. The 8 crisis cards are added to the deck. Give it a shuffle. Setting up the court. Courtiers used in 3-player game amount to 8 once again. So putting those out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have yellow player, blue, and red. In the 3-player mode, we are using only 3 influence tokens per player. So I will just get rid of those extra ones. They just are not going to be used here. And as before in a 2-player game, all players, one by one, claim one of the courtiers. As the courtiers are shuffled, the sequence is not particularly important with this selection of the courtiers. 2 courtiers for each player with 2 masks, meaning full control. So everything checks out. Let's reveal the courtiers. Let's assign the starting titles. And we may find out that maybe, just maybe, one of the players is actually the first player that will have first round. Number 4 and 5. Looks like red player is lucky in getting 2 titles. Now, Chief Minister is not controlled by anyone, any player, but actually the red player will be the starting player, will have the first round, because the lowest rank of the office title, is held by the red controlled player. So the setup is mostly done. Looking over the table if I have forgotten about anything, but no, should be fine. So the red player draws the first card, and it's not a crisis. So we pick one of the cards to choose and play. This time, as we can see, the space, mm, the number of the courtiers, we are already divided, and it's going to be not quite easy to proceed. Uh, just to open a little space, I will use 2 points from the card to put 2 masks on the Antipater. His special ability is very important, but also having a courtier that doesn't have a title may prove decisive. I will not use any special ability right now, so game goes clockwise over to yellow. Yellow player draws the first card, or rather the first card in this round. It's a crisis, so crisis is automatically revealed. Glory token is assigned to it, and yellow player draws another card. It's not a crisis. So once again, yellow player has to pick one card from their hand. Because Euphorion is already here, I will start with using his special ability just to get the ball rolling. Yellow player gets 1 victory point. And then let's see what we can do about the cards. One easy way to fortify sort of our second courtier Heliodorus is to play this card for the event. So manpower is supposed to be increased, but it cannot be increased as the resources are right now capped to 2 max. So manpower blue resource stays the way that it is, and oops, this is the icon for the red office holder. I don't think that I want to give the point for the red player. Forgive me. Let me correct this a little, because clearly this is not necessarily the best thing. So instead, let's just play this card for 1 point and make a little claim, 1 point to put 1 mask on Laodike. We control the chief minister, but not very strongly. Over to the blue player, drawing the card. It's not a crisis. And thinking about the blues. Mm, it's not particularly important right now at this particular moment in the game, but we can use the special ability of Irene. Because one of the game end conditions is the exhausting pool. If all those 12 now glory points are assigned to mm, either crisis or courtiers, the game automatically ends. We will just add 2 more tokens to the pool. Mm. Historically speaking, Irene was one of the influential painters, female painters, active in this period. And I guess she simply mm, simulates the importance of culture, even in historical games, not to say war games. In any case, still the blue player has to decide on the cards which card to play, and one thing that would be relatively easy to do right now, minor inroads, decrease the red resource, but give 1 point to green skilled courtier, let's say Menipus. And in this regard, blue player is evening the field with the yellow player. Special ability used, card accounted for, back to red, drawing a card. It's not a crisis. Right now, red can try to resolve the crisis for some easy, quick point grab. So let's try doing exactly this. I'm playing this card for points. 2 points are assigned to resolve the crisis. So 2 dice. I'm choosing Ptolemy as my best military leader in red faction. So his blue skill is 2. So 2 more dice. He has the red office and he can use the red office to increase his chances of succeeding. Let's try doing this. Normally the mm, dice will be rolled and we count number of 5s and 6s. In this case, if the courtier attempting to resolve the crisis has the office, they can use the appropriate resource matching color with their office to get the bonus modifier on each dice and actually scoring a hit or success on 4, 5, 6. So I need at least 1, 4, 5, 6. I get two successes, but 2 successes are not enough to get 3. The minor success means that the manpower goes up. Of course, it is capped, so it cannot go any further. But the worth of the resource, the red resource, drops down. And just like you may have seen this in the video, I am using here the optional rule that is currently being tested because the red faction is using has is has caused resource drop to 0. A marker named Royal Ire is given to the red faction. It effectively drops down their total score by 1. So even though Ptolemy has won the crisis, successfully resolved this royal anger diminishes the effect. But as keen-eyed viewers may see, I can now kick off the ability of Ptolemy, famous commander, because one crisis has been successfully resolved. I can give Ptolemy 2 more points. So net red faction right now is at 2 points total. Special ability has been used. Over to the yellow player. Yellow player draws a card. Is it a crisis? It's not a crisis. Uh, but we may need to increase potentially the red resource. It just so happens that we do not have the card that benefits both us and the state of the economy. Mm, though maybe there is something to be done about this. Let's do it. So Heliodorus tries to assassinate successful Ptolemy. Now, red player doesn't have any card to block himself from this ability, so Ptolemy effectively is removed from the game. The title is moved away for a moment. Bye bye, Ptolemy. We have to draw the replacement. We have to check who is going to be the next treasurer. Once again, we start from the lowest rank, and we'll see that 1 is not eligible because they are holding the title already. Number 4 is also taken, but public opinion can view with suspicion the fact that it's after losing a red faction courtier, it is once again a red faction courtier that inherits the title. Something is suspicious. We have to update the total scoring of the red player, he drops down to 0 right now. And now we start with the card play for the yellow player. Yellow player has assigned all influence tokens available to him, so there are not that many easy choices. To not paint target on yellow's player's back, I will just use this card. The resource goes up by 1. This means that according to the rules of Royal Favor and Ire, yellow player receives the Royal Favor token that can be used later. The Glory token has to be given to the blue skilled courtier. This may sound as a counterintuitive, but Polixenidas, who is not controlled by yellow player, fulfills this condition. No player benefits from this, but now putting influence on Polixenidas may be more expensive for other players. And as we can see, there is the 3-point card in the hand of yellow player. So there are always possibilities for yellow player, maybe later down the line. Okay, special ability used, card is accounted for. The game continues with the blue player. Blue player draws a card. Is it a crisis? It's not a crisis. If this is not a crisis and we are blue, the easiest way would be to either go for points or commit ourselves to one place or the other. Once again, I'm taking stock of situation and trying to make a decision. It's never easy, and the game can be pretty volatile. Let's try and put the Hannibal into the game. So the new quarter is being added, and the blue player can automatically claim Hannibal as theirs with 2 masks. So the third blue courtier appears on the table. There are no special abilities to be used, so over to red. Red player draws a card. It's not a crisis. And red player clearly needs to do something about the situation here. For now, however, there isn't that much that can be done. So just to be a little more competitive for the fellow players, I'm playing this card for 2 points, and I will put 1 mask on Polixenidas. This is more expensive because Polixenidas has a glory token. The number of tokens do not matter. It simply is the fact that the tokens are associated with this courtier. Antipater can use his special ability, but let's not be hasty just yet. Over to the yellow player, who is drawing the card, and it's not a crisis. Who shuffled this deck? I was expecting that there would be more crisis by now. Yellow player. So let's try doing this. Playing this card for points, I can put 1 more mask on Laodike for 1 point, and I can use second point to try to bring down Antipater by 1. Antipater is still red, but as long as there is one mask on his card, he cannot use his special ability, so it's just a matter of tempo and momentum. Red player will have to bring this bring this second mask back before the special ability can be used. Yellow player is otherwise relatively satisfied with the general position. Over to blue. Not a crisis again. Blue player. Hmm. Blue player will try. This actually will be successful automatically. Playing 1 point to claim the title. The only title that can be claimed with 1 point is the red title. Antipater doesn't have any glory tokens to make this action more expensive, so it actually costs 1 point. And blue player transmits the title to Menipus. His glory token once again will make any title grabs more expensive. This is why uh, I made this decision. No special abilities being used. Over to the red player. Drawing a card, it's not a crisis. My goodness. What are the chances? And if this is so, red player certainly would like more more points. So I will use this card for what is written at the bottom. Green resource is capped at 2, so it cannot go any higher, but we can assign another point to Polyxenidas, which means that for the first time in our game today, all factions are tied in terms of points, at least for now. No special ability to be used, so over to the yellow player. Is it a crisis? It's still not a crisis. It's still not a crisis. Hmm. So just to prove the potential usefulness, or rather show the potential usefulness of those optional rules in royal favor, I'm playing this card for 3 points, but I will use also the royal favor. Royal favor adds 1 operation point to what I'm going to do with those cards. And what I can do is simply to negate the one red mask, because there is glory, it costs me 2 points. I have 2 points remaining, and with those 2 points remaining, mm, I can try and claim the title from Menipus. It will go to Euphorion. Once again, this costs 1 because the resource right now, red resource, is at level 1. But with the glory on Menipus, thanks to the royal favor token, I can pull it off. I have just enough. Holding offices will be important for the final scoring if the game will finish with the exhausted event deck. So maybe it's a good hedging my bet, really. Drawing for blue, it's a crisis, and this is important one. It's the crisis when successfully resolved. The resources will not be capped at 2, but can enter the gray areas. So the card is revealed, replacement is being drawn by blue. Because this is the subsequently drawn crisis, it's actually discarded. In our alternate timeline reality, there won't be any war between Rome and Seleucids. Lucky us. So this is how those shuffles went. A Chaos Rebellion, another crisis that also is going to be discarded right away. And finally, not a crisis anymore. So for the blue player, uh, green crisis. Mm, once again, weighing my options here. Ho, 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 ho. The easy way is to just bide my time, and maybe we'll just bide my time. I am going to use the not the points, but actually give myself some glory tokens. Green resource is capped out, so glory goes to the red skilled courtier. This time I'm implicating Irene, so blue player gains in standing, and the game continues to the red player. Red player draws a card. It's not a crisis. Mm, I don't feel like going after the fifth Syrian war, so maybe we can do something else. 1 point to bring up Antipater to the full loyalty, full control. Now I can use the special ability of Antipater, and it is shifting any active character, any active courtier by 2 levels. This means that if we have neutral courtier, like Polixenidas here, he can be immediately given the 2 masks, which puts him under full control and gives red player mm, effectively. Yeah, I forgot to update the scoring with all this talking. Oh yeah. 2 points reduced by the ire to 1, so now it's updated. Special ability card accounted for over to yellow. And there is one more thing that I forgot to mention. The Royal Favor token, once it is used, it's removed from the game. The game starts with 3 Royal Favors. Mm, they they do not necessarily always return to the loop, so to say. With yellow player, mm, we are controlling the red resource, we are controlling the green. Mm, and we are controlling Euphorion. Hmm. Patronizing the arts is always has such a nice effect. The stripes that you can see on some of the cards, they belong to the category of alternate events. So instead of for playing this card for points or for the what is written at the very bottom, I can try to, in this case, engage in a sort of duel between 2 courtiers in hopes of getting some reward. In this case, I can as a yellow player, I can implicate the Euphorion, trying to patronize the odds while, let's say, Antipater, another courtier that has red skill, tries to patronize the odds along. Now, whoever the person who wins is the person with the most with the highest number of successes. So we are looking for 5s or 6s. Euphorion could use the resource from the red office, but it would anger the king because the kingdom's resources would drop to 0. Yellow player doesn't want to do this. So I'm just hoping in the statistics. And it looks like the person who played the card, this contest card, got 1 success more than the opponent. So it is a choice of the winner whether he wants to receive 2 additional tokens or make the loser lose 2 tokens. Without saying much, I I select the reward. So 2 tokens for Euphorion, and yellow player goes up and ahead. Over to the blue, drawing a card that is a crisis. It is relatively easy, forgive me, relatively easy to resolve this alliance with Pergamon, and the all revealed crisis they receive a glory token. Replacement is being drawn by the blue player. It's another crisis, so because it's subsequent draw, it's going straight to discard. And the next card is not a crisis anymore. With cards that we have on our hands, we can make life of several people more difficult. Mm, but maybe let's not do that just yet. What can be done here is me trying to resolve the easy crisis. I will dedicate 2 points from the card, and I'm choosing Menipus. So 2 points from the card mean 2 dice will be rolled. Menipus green skill, as indicated on the crisis card, we are looking for the green skill, is 2, so 2 more dice. And I can use the special ability of Menipus to make the chance to give myself the modifier, just like Menipus would be holding the title. +1 on each die. Having said that, why not go for the more ambitious target? I'm looking for 4, 5, 6, and I need 3 successes ideally. So let's try to resolve the Fifth Syrian War actually. With this, those are 2 successes. Fifth Syrian War is a curious crisis because first we modify the resources as according to the right line. Manpower is capped out, it cannot go any further. Economy drops to 0, so king will be angry with the blue player, but nevertheless the glory tokens go to the Menipus 2, so it's going to be a change in net by 1. Fifth Syrian War successfully resolved. And now from now on, the king becomes a great king, so we flip this token from the silver to the gold side. Now the resources can enter the areas of free. Looking at the special abilities, but not really. We use the Menipus, we accounted for the card, so it's over to red. It's not a crisis. So the question does become what player can do. One thing that they can do, now that the resources are brought, not capped anymore, is basically improve the economy. So I'm playing this for the event. The manpower goes to 3, economy goes to 1. For this reason, real ire is averted. Normally, the red player would receive the mm, favor. There are no favors, but royal ire can be returned onto the court. And last but not least, the 1 glory token is given to the red courtier. So, for example, Zeuxis is a nice candidate. Now, totaling the points, and given that the royal ire went away, we see that there are red player lost penalty and gain 1, so they stand at 3 victory points. Over to yellow. It's not a crisis. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Looking at the skills of the courtiers that yellow controls. Maybe let's experience Battle of Thermopylae that Seleucids historically lost. I will play this as the event, so the manpower blue resource goes down by 1, and whoever is holding the office, it looks like Zeuxis, blue office, loses the glory point. So red is brought down by 1. Special abilities? No, not really. So over to the blue player. It's not a crisis, but maybe this is the time when we want to mess other players up. Let's play this card for the event. Remove up to 3 masks from the board. This means that yellow player can lose 2 masks from Euphorion, effectively taking away both the red title and the glory points. So effectively yellow player drops down to 0 points for a moment. And one more, just to, I mean, one mask is supposed to be lost. Let's weaken Polyxenidas a little bit. Special ability among the blue players, blue courtiers? No, not really. So over to the red. Drawing a card. It's not a crisis. Red sees what is happening. One way about it could be to assassinate one of the blue courtiers. But maybe, just maybe, there are ways to gain some points through other means. Nope, we are removing one of the courtiers. Blue player doesn't have any card that can block this effect, so Menipus goes down with 3 points, getting back to the pool. Menipus is removed from the game. New courtier replacement is drawn. It's Arceus. We have used the card. No abilities to worry about. Over to yellow. Drawing a card. It's not a crisis. Can yellow come back? Well, the answer is yes, sort of. If I use this card for points, 3 points means that I can put 1 mask on Euphorion and regain 3 points, at least temporarily, and I can make life more difficult, maybe for Zeuxis, for the red player. Special abilities? Nope. So over to blue. Not a crisis. Blue is tied at the top. So one thing that we can try and do could be gaining more points. I suppose that I keep forgetting update the score. Blue should be on 0. Forgive me, dear audience. This is why it is so important to keep the track updated at all times. Precisely, precisely for this reason. Mm, let's then try and put 2 masks on Arceus. So we have 3 courtiers with various skills, but also good military leaders. This is it for now for the blue. Over to red. Not a crisis. Mm, Syrian Fiasco is a good card to keep in hand just if anything happens. To let's do this. Playing this 2-pointer for 2 points. 1 point will be to bring the Zeuxis up to speed, but second point, not enough. Second point can be used against Laodike to bring her down a bit. No special abilities, over to yellow. Yellow player wants to win. Do they have a chance? Well, they do. But what we can do is to play this card for the event at the bottom. Manpower drops down by 1 box, and 1 glory token is taken from Polyxenidas, just to leave the yellow faction up ahead. No special abilities, over to the blue, who draws a card. It's not a crisis. Blue player, where are we? At 0, basically. Not holding any offices right now at this very moment. We are not doing this. Then one possibility could be certainly to try and resolve the crisis with one of our guys. I say guys because I am thinking of using the local celebrity Arceus ability. He doesn't have a green skill, but by spending this special ability, we treat him as he would have green skill with the value of 3. I am using the 1 point from the card. His skill for this one attempt amounts to 3, so 4 dice, and I need at least 1, 5, or 6 to succeed. So let's see if this happens. Well, 1 success, I suppose. But once again, we bring economy crashing. The green resource goes up. Glory to Arceus, but King is angry again because once again we brought the economy down, which means that effectively all those points that courtiers have are negated by the royal ire. No special ability, So over to the red. It's a crisis. Glory associated and drawing the replacement. Oh boy. There are moments in the game where drawing certain cards can upset the situation quite a lot, and in this case it looks like it's one of those. Because if the Battle of Magnesia will be played, even though we do not have a war between Romans and Seleucids, the card still exists with its effect. The green resource goes down by 1, and the red player can remove 1 mask from up to 3 courtiers. That is, to rephrase this, to make it a little more clear, can remove 1 mask from 3 courtiers or less. So Euphorion is implicated. Yellow token goes back to Euphorion. We can Arceus, and just to bring the yellow player down, Laodike is neutralized. Effectively, at least for now, the yellow player goes down to 1. Special abilities in the red section? No, not really. So over to the yellow player. It's a crisis, so we have to make some space here. Up. 1, 2, and drawing the replacement. It's not a crisis. Oh, so yeah, now it becomes quite a conundrum what to do and how. What is the best choice for the yellow player? Hmm. Well, the best choices are somewhat easy. If we use the 2 points from these cards, we can regain full control over Laodike. With the Euphorion, I could use this card to place 1 mask, but I can be mitigated relatively quickly by other players. Special abilities in terms of Laodike? Uh, no, no, not really. So over to blue. We are close to the finish, so now every little bit counts. Blue player. Mm, Easy choice, but this may not work out. Would be to try to bring down some people. Uh, yeah, but this means that we are still at 1. Mm, so maybe changing my mind. Playing game with myself, I do give myself right to take backsies. We'll play this card for the points. The economy goes up, which would mean that 1 royal ire is averted. When the royal ire is averted, it's going back to the pool. The green token, the green skilled courtier receives 1 glory point. In this case, it just has to be uh, Irene right now. So we lost 1 penalty. We are at 2. And the last word belongs to the red player. Oops. This card goes to the red player. Now, if red player can pull off the 2 points shift, maybe they can pull off the win here. And it's quite possible. Red player can go for the to play this card with the 2 points. I will try to expand Antioch with Zeuxis. So 2 points from the card means we are getting 2 dice. His red skill is equal to, so he gets 2 more dice. Now he still has his special ability adding 1, just like using resource. I don't want to use the resource, the blue resource, because it brings the value of the office down. So we will try to succeed with the 4 dice, scoring on 4, 5, 6. And I achieved 2 successes, but it's not free, so economy goes down to 0, making king angry just again, and giving me 2 points for Zeuxis, but in net it's just 1. The economy is dropped, the green resource goes up, and this is the end of the game. What happens now, because there are no more cards to be drawn, we have to do the final scoring. And in this case, what is the way that it works is the standing on the scoring track is increased by the value of the resources at this moment if someone controls the courtier with this office. So we will see that the blue player controls blue office, the value is 2, so they go 1, 2. The yellow player controls the green office and the value is 3. Yellow player comes back in this final scoring here. And one of the rules that we are thinking about, but it's something that I am testing currently, is penalizing the existing surviving crises that are still unresolved. This is meant to be the players are playing as courtiers or factions of courtiers, and in a crisis taking place in the kingdom, it is something that penalizes, is supposed to be penalizing. In this case, whoever would be controlling Euphorion would lose the faction controlling Euphorion would lose 1 token. So in this case, it looks like the oh boy, did I make a mistake here? Let me recalculate the scores again, because I may have moved wrong token in wrong place. Blue player controls 1, 2, 3 points with 1 ire, so they should stay at 2. Yellow player controls the office title that is worth 3 points, so they do have 3. And what I should have done is the glory tokens 1, 2, 3, 1 ire, so 2, but the red player goes up ahead with the value of the office. Maybe I should have played this game with other people so they can keep track of my mistakes. But I hope that this gives you, dear viewers, the sample how this game can play and how does it play in 3-player game. It plays, if you will view the 2-player game, which I recommend, you may see that the balance between the 2-player game and the balance in 2-player game and 3-player game is slightly different. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I will just finish with one more remark. I am playing so far with the Royal Favor and Royal Ire, but those rules about Royal Favor and Ire are just an optional rule. Players do not have to use them if they want to spice up the game a little bit and affect the scoring, as you have seen. It's possible, but the game works without it just as well. Thank you for your patience and for watching this video. Until next time.